So, Jason Kelce's long, distinguished career as a Philadelphia Eagle is probably coming to an end very soon. It's a fate that we all know is around the corner, and we all hate it, because Jason Kelce has been one of the best offensive linemen, not just center, offensive linemen in Eagles history. Unfortunately, we all know it, guys. All good things come to an end, and it's a really disappointing end. Today, guys, we're going to discuss one of the possibly developmental options when it comes to one day having to face the reality of lining up without Jason Kelce. All right, y'all, stick around. What's up, Eagles Nation? What's going on, NFL world? How you doing, division rivals? This is Stephen Hyder with Gate City Sports Channel, the sports channel where the cerebral NFL fan comes for about 10 minutes of daily content. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever it is you get around to watching us. Once again, guys, Stephen Hyder with Gate City Sports Channel. All right, y'all, today's topic. Look, we're going to talk about Luke Juriga. He's an undrafted rookie free agent, a UDRFA, that we signed this offseason. He's coming out of, I believe, Western Michigan University. This is a kid who has played center, so this isn't necessarily a convert to the center position. This is someone with experience, someone with actual college game tape that we can get a very good feel for. I got to shout out Kevin Cronin. Kevin, this video is for you. I know you've been asking me to do this video for about 2 weeks now. Look, I had to do some adjustments, guys. We've been working on the podcast. We got the podcast up and running. Don't worry. We're going to have some announcements and stuff for that, guys, coming up. So I've been putting in time and effort, and this is where it's been going, guys. All right, y'all. Today's topic, Luke Juriga, Western Michigan University. All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and let's run that film footage. All right, as a guy who's never played center one day in my life, I'm going to be quite open and honest. You guys know I coach football, but I've never coached the offensive line either. I'll give you some very simple and basic things that I personally look for when I'm scouting a guy who's playing the center position as a novice. Someone or some tangible things you can take away as a novice to help you distinguish whether or not a guy is playing well. And the first thing you can look at when you're looking at an offensive lineman, guys, to keep in mind is that besides the quarterback, they are the next guy who really looks out at what's going on and makes adjustments and makes calls. So can they read the defense, especially the defensive line in that second level of linebacker play? Can they identify the mic correctly for the quarterback? Mind you, the mic doesn't mean the middle linebacker. That's how they set their run protections and things like that, guys. It's how they do slide protections as well. So that's the first thing you want to look at. That's a little harder to point out on film, guys, because you kind of have to know who's really calling it out. Sometimes you can see a center kind of point. That's how you know that the center is calling it out, but you don't always see that on film. So that's really difficult to tell. You kind of have to be there in person to see that. Now, the second thing I look for is what does this guy do when he's squared up one-on-one with a nose tackle? If you're one-on-one with a nose tackle, can you win? Are you strong enough as a center to win against those big monsters? Watch as that zero shade slides over into a true nose tackle positioning to test him. That's going to be important for any center. It was the thing that most people were absolutely terrified about when it came to Jason Kelce. The third thing I can give you to look for, guys, just a tangible, easy way of breaking down and looking at a guy from the center position is when you're watching someone on a tandem block, right? So centers will definitely be on combo blocks. Some people call it tandem. Some people call it a combo block, right? So zone blocking scheme. If that center gets in there and makes contact with the nose, makes contact with the zero shade, whatever, one technique, and pushes him over to the guard, to that guard's responsibility, does he then have the athleticism and the knowledge to get to the second level and pick up one of those linebackers. He keeps that zero shade out of the hole, then picks up a linebacker. That's beautiful. To me, those are the three tangible things that any fan who has a little understanding about football can look at an offensive center and judge just how well they're playing. So those would be my keys and my tips here. All right, y'all, let's go further into the film study. All right, guys, once again, Juriga catches that nose tackle and picks up the linebacker coming through. So, as I was really reviewing the film on Luke Juriga, the one thing I will say is the kid had the athleticism when you're running something like these zone concepts, where you're running an outside zone. Generally speaking, run an outside zone, that center is going to be asked to get to the second level and get to those linebackers. He has enough functional speed to do that. And then when you're looking at the inside zone blocking, I thought he also did a fairly good job of being able to use that athleticism to bump a guy back over towards his guard, to clear them out of the hole, and then turn around and get to that second level and go ahead and put down a good block.
Handoff goes to Bellamy. He has the first down.
This is important because if you're going to play center in Philadelphia, you need to be a little athletic. And to be honest with you, that's the thing that kind of throws me off a little bit about guys like Nate Herbig. Nate Herbig, I thought, really played well in camp, and this was not a guy, if you watched this film and you watched his workouts, you would have thought he would have made the Eagles last year. That is not something I personally would have said. But he came in and he produced when it mattered. Look at Isaac Seumalo. Seumalo does play a lot of, he does pull a lot, so there is some athleticism. So when you look at a guy like Luke Juriga, I would actually say that he's slightly more athletic than Isaac Seumalo, and he's far more athletic than a guy like Nate Herbig. Nate Herbig, I think, is probably better suited one day to play inside at guard, not your center position. While I think Seumalo and in this kid Juriga, I think are a little more natural flow with the way the Eagles like to run the center position to play center. The kid's fast, man. The kid, he's not Jason Kelce. Look, Jason Kelce was the fastest offensive lineman during the 2011 NFL draft.
Come on, good lean. Come on, good lean. Go.
He's not that level of fast, but he is pretty fast, guys. I mean, this kid runs a fairly, fast 40 time for an offensive lineman. He does have the functional athleticism you would look for in a center.
Now, the ability to change directions from D'Angelo Malone, if he doesn't get this shoestring tackle.
All right, guys. To finish out my thoughts about Luke Juriga, this is what I'll say, guys. I'll give you some hot takes. All right, here's the Gate City Sports Talk hot take on Luke Juriga. This is a kid that has developmental abilities. Look, I'm not going to say this kid can or cannot compete because we don't know yet. This kid hasn't put pads on. We got to consider the fact that this kid is coming out of Western Michigan. You got to consider the actual defensive line talent he was playing against. Now, I can't fault a guy because you have to play who you're told to play. I mean, it's not his fault. With that said, we also, you know what I'm saying, you got to keep that in the back of your mind, though, at the same time. Hey, man, level of competition probably won't stack up to what he's about to see at the NFL level. It's going to be really tough for this kid to, quite honestly, beat out some of the guys that are on this roster right now. Nate Herbig, I think he's much more of an athlete than Nate Herbig. I think he flows better, and I think he's got a little more kind of feel for playing the center position. So I do think that could be really interesting because we know they're probably going to carry a backup for Jason Kelce. Isaac Seumalo, obviously he's going to be your left guard. I think Seumalo is the guy that maybe Jeff Stoutland envisions down the road taking over for Kelce, but it won't. I doubt it would be this year. I think Stoutland has expressed before that he likes to have guys who essentially play their role, and if something were to happen, you got another guy to kind of fill in for them. He doesn't want to cause two problems by trying to fix one problem. So that's the kind of the entry here with projecting that this young man would make the roster. Because the bottom line is none of us really know, but he's going to have to beat out Nate Herbig to probably get on the roster. Because I do think the Eagles will carry like an interior guard / kind of center prospect. So I really think it'll come down to Nate Herbig versus Luke Juriga. I think that's going to be where that battle will happen. Hey, look, man. This kid has it. I'll give you the hot take here. This kid has the athleticism to beat out Nate Herbig. Although the Eagles are high on Nate Herbig. I don't think this is a layup for Nate Herbig to make this roster right now. I think he's going to have to come in and honestly play his butt off because this kid right here, hey, man, if he was playing at a better college, if he was playing at a much larger, more recognized school against better competition and threw up what I saw on film, he probably would have been drafted, I'm going to be honest. So that's my hot take on the kid. I think the kid's really fighting against Nate Herbig to get one of those last roster spots on the Philadelphia Eagles. This is a kid that ideally I think the Eagles would love to slip, kind of push him back to the back of the roster or maybe even to the practice squad to develop. I think the practice squad is the most ideal place for a guy like this. All right, y'all, that's my take on it. But you already know I'm going to ask you. I want to know, what do you think, guys? All right, y'all, leave your comments down below. Tell me what you think about Luke Juriga. Where do you fit on this kid? I think his name's Juriga. I keep saying it wrong, I think. Let me know where your thoughts are on this kid. What do you think about the young man? I mean, definitely athletic. Isaac Seumalo actually outran him on the 40 time. He ran a 5.19 compared to Juriga's 5.24 or 5.21, something like that. But if you watch the film, it looks like to me is that Juriga has a little more functional athleticism. It translates a little better to the field. They're both fairly athletic guys. I think both of these guys match what the Eagles want to do when Kelce's gone. Because Kelce's going to be really hard to replace, guys. You just can't find people with that kind of mobility every day. You just can't. All right, y'all. You know how we end these videos. We do a little E-A-G-L-E-S. All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all tuning in, man. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Oh, actually, I'll see y'all tonight on the live.